All right, so here's what happened. While we were all sitting here waiting for Alkali was frantically messaging me. Which reads, if I'm more than 2 to 3 minutes late, start the panel without me. Followed by, start the panel without me. So, I'm starting the panel without him. Which has got to make it interesting for all of you, because normally Alkali runs this panel and I don't know what I'm doing.
It's okay, now it is Alkali.
Welcome to Open Mic and Comedy Basics. This is actually normally held over in the ballroom at the Westin. The reason being they have that nice stage for performers, because what we do in this is we try to get some of you up here to give your best open mic comedy, and then typically we will sit here and we will give you some feedback on it, kind of expressing some basics of comedy. Now, a few rules just right off the bat: no heckling. No heckling, okay? Who in here has actually done stand-up before? Who in here has done stand-up at an open mic? Who in here has realized how brutal comedy open mics are? Yeah. For the people who didn't raise their hands, comedy open mics are a bunch of comedians standing around. As you go up there, you do what's called a type 5, your best 5 minutes, right? And all the other comedians stand at the bar and make fun of you. We don't do that here. This is a wonderful community filled with creative people. We are supportive. There is no heckling. Do not heckle. Just please, all right? That takes a lot to get up there, to do your 5 minutes, to get back off the stage, all right? So everybody who comes up here has already put themselves out. For the people who plan on coming up here and doing a couple things. Yeah, we're gonna do it at 5. I believe Alkali does it at 5 minutes, doesn't he? Is it 3 minutes?
3 to 5, depending on.
All right, here's the deal. I'm gonna give you 3 minutes. Because we can increase the time when Alkali shows up if I'm wrong, but I can't take it back. So we're gonna start at 3 minutes. If you're up here, when you see me start to stand, I am doing the equivalent of what they have in a club. What they have in a club is they have a wonderful set of lights in the back, all right? And when that light goes yellow, they're telling you got 30 seconds left, and when that light goes red, you are done. We will cut you off. We will try not to. We will give you time to finish your story. But we will cut you off if you go over that red light. Hello, Chris. Are you on this? Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
How many comedians do we have today? Folks, your other co-host for the panel, the wonderful Chris the Comedy Bun.
Hi. And don't mess around. He will cut you off. He sent it to me.
Yeah. If you go over time, I will stop you. All right. Do we have anybody under the age of 18 in the room? I'm asking for a reason so I can let comedians know their material. We have one person under the age of 18 in the room. The people who are going to come up here, I will make one request of you then. Don't work blue. Working blue is profane, sexual, obscene comedy. To the best of your ability, do not work blue when you have a minor in the room. This is Anthrocon. This is an all-ages panel, okay? All right.
I got in trouble for that, too.
Yeah, you did. Like, the one complaint I got about Furry Jury was programming calling me and going like, yeah, we had a complaint about Furry Jury having too much sexual content. Like, but they didn't have any Chris.
I was playing what felt accurate to the character, which was I thought the character was in love with the victim? Yeah, victim. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, a murder.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I thought that my character thought that the coworker, that her roommate, who she had known for years, and they were very close, and it was like, oh, it's a roommate. Oh, and like they were together and they were best friends and they loved it and they loved each other and I just assumed that they were like actually a
Did
couple.
not have to go that obscene though. Like you could have.
I was
that out without
from New
using the
Zealand.
You're good.
Have you? I have a question before. Have you even read the witness statement for this show?
A couple of sentences.
Yeah, you're the second witness, please. I'm just figuring I should let you know.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, it's you still. It's I clearly see no chemistry from the character in this
Thank
one.
God.
So it won't be an issue this time.
That said, does everybody understand what we're doing rule wise? Wonderful. Do we have anybody who wants to come up and give it a shot? I saw your hand up first, the big hand right in the middle. You got hair there. I can't see you. You're wearing a white mask and glasses. I can see some of you. There you go.
Right there.
Right there.
All right, is it okay if I read off notes?
No,
Absolutely.
You do whatever you need to do.
Oh, you're so much better than me. I never take notes.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So my name is Jax. Nice to meet you, and let's have a good comedy. Let's start off strong. So, to begin this tale, I would just like to say the story is fraught with humorous dismay. About two friends driving who then took a tumble when the pair encountered a timeless foe, car trouble. We start this journey in my home state of PA, and off to Ohio we drive through the day. Day turns to evening, and evening turns to night. Little did we know we were in for a fright. David and I talked about tales of yesterday, and came up to the subject of a certain agency named AAA. You see, David was upset at the too common sight of his dad and his Audi, which never ran right. David said, "Oh, I need not make admittance of how AAA has terrible roadside assistance." I told him, "Fret not, they surely come in handy. Just give them a call and they'll tow your car quick and dandy." So we keep driving through the fields of Ohio, and the subject of old friends brought laughter and smiles. Too much laughter and this merriment brought, you see. As I was driving, I failed to notice my fuel gauge trickle down to E. I laughed so hard that I thought I would need stitches at the thought of our friend Alan asking, "What's the matter, no bitches?" Fret not, David had warned ahead, that you should fill up halfway, there's no need for dread. Quickly I rushed. From half came a quarter, and more quickly than slow. By the time I stopped laughing, the fuel gauge read low. Quickly I rushed, not minding David's sass, when put, my car ran out of gas. And we waited for help as the minutes turned to hours. The car quieted down, and now it was out of power. I whipped out my phone and started to dial. 15 calls later, the AAA lady answered, her voice gruff and vile. She asked, "Am I safe?" as she followed her script. And I said, "Hell no," with David biting his lip. He ended each call the same way with a chime. Her assistance was useless and a complete waste of time. She told me a fuel truck to us had been sent, but as the hours dragged on, my sanity was spent. David exclaimed, "We miss our con, it's hot on the morrow," as I smirked and thought to alleviate his sorrow. This is a bit of an inside joke, I suffice to say. I winked at David and asked, "Don't you mean later today?" With anger in his eyes and holding back laughter, he yelled, "I'm going to kill you for this terrible disaster." 11 turned to 12, and then 1, 2, and 3. When loudly I yelled, "That's it, I'm calling the police." At first I was nervous, but stayed steady and super. And by 4 o'clock in the morning, out came a state trooper. We told him our story, and he saw our plight. But we hopped in his cruiser and sped through the night, winding through sections of towns black as stout. Little did we know the county transformer blew out. The officer was kind as he gave us a gallon, and we thanked him profusely for his courage and talent. He took us to a store marked 11 and 7, and with the gas back, with the gas in the back of us, the car stunk to high heaven. We sped through the night with tears of joy and fumes in our eyes, when back east in the mirror, we saw the glimpse of sunrise. The gas was enough for us to arrive to Cincinnati, Ohio, the terminus of our now 10-hour drive. So the Odyssey is finished, and I'm here to remind to fill up your gas a bit early next drive. Whether the gauge lay at a quarter or at most halfway, be sure to keep focused on how many miles remain. Whether on the road for cons, alone or with friends, I advise knowing where to fill up before the journey reaches its end, lest you run dry and your heart drown in dismay, and most of all, you'll get screwed by the good folks in AAA.
Okay, what was your name again? Jax?
Jax.
Jax, that was very wonderful. Give it up for Jax again. That was very good. The spoken word poem story is not an easy feat. You're not, and you know, obviously it's fine that you had, because that's like a thing you have to, that's like written. It's like actually written. It's like it's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't read.
No, you're fine. No, that's it. That's the important part. Like I said, just keep tightening it up. Clean. But like honestly, it's well written. It's just genuinely well written.
The one thing I will say, it's because when you say, is it okay if I read it? Yeah, it's fine. We have set lists.
Yep.
Like if you ever see any of the videos when we're on stage and you see us do this, we're looking at our set list.
Mm-hmm.
And like as an example, I have a set list that literally reads abortion, donuts, hoagies, hate the government. It literally reads like I'm schizophrenic, but those are the jokes, those are the highlights. What you were doing was much more difficult than that. It was you were reading a poem, a spoken word piece. The one thing I will say is when you're doing it, when you're rehearsing it, when you're tightening it, repeat it in front of the mirror as much as you can without looking at them. It's great to have them right in front of you to glance down at, but so much, especially with any type of comedy, eye contact with the audience. Eye contact with the audience. Because that lets you land the joke directly to that person.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just going to come with you doing it over and over and over and over, knowing it. So.
But no, yeah, definitely. One more time, get around for Jax.
Chris, you want to pick our next victim?
Sure. Who's next? Hold this back a little bit. Let's start from the front. How about you in the green shirt? What was your name? What was your name?
Tezcat.
Tezcat. Okay, everybody give it up for Tezcat.
If our panelists bury me after this session, just know that my family loves me very much. I'm Tezcat the Magic Jaguar. I have this famed impression that I'm a magician. The greatest trick I've ever pulled is casting an illusion of myself thinking I'm any good at card tricks. But I also have met an amazing group of people who do so much work and do so much effort to perform at these conventions for you guys. They do it for you. They're amazing people. They're pillars of the fandom. They're great icons. Some of them are so well known. They're amazing people to meet and work with. They do so much for the fandom. Then there's Basement Con. Now, I'm a better parasocial than a lot of you other guys because I actually use charity to pay to play like a gamer. So that's how I get to meet these people in person and see them for who they really are. And no, I'm not going to say anything that isn't true. But I'm going to do some really bad impressions for you about the experiences I've had because I'm not very funny, but my God, these people are. So picture at Basement Con. Some of you know about Basement Con. You're insane. But actually, he's the most sane of the group. But the most insane person last year was our wonderful friend, Uncle Kage. See, I'm having breakfast. We have a fantastic breakfast. All of us being served. The cooks have made this huge meal. And I'm sitting there by myself because, as you put it, did you have fun, Tezcat? Because you were pretty much a wallflower, buddy. So here I am sitting at the table, and here it comes Uncle Kage. He sits down with Ronnie, and the table goes goo. And he's like, there's something wrong with this table. So he gets down on his hands and knees, my boy. And we are now underneath the table, me and Kage, first person to ever get him under the table, I guess, trying to fix this wobbly table. And at one point, a hand comes up. Now, I don't think you saw any of this, but if you did, it probably would have been like, Sam, this is Basement Con, buddy. We don't have tools to fix anything. We don't even have working bathrooms. screwdrivers. We don't have a screwdriver. We don't have enough vodka to mix yourself one. But he's sitting there fiddling with it, and I have an idea. Ha! I have brought napkins for our food. So I put napkins underneath the table, and the wobbling stops. He sits up, Ronnie gets up, and we eat our breakfast, and he never makes eye contact with me after that. And he will if he ever learns that I do an impression of him. I will end up in the Alleghenies surprisingly covered in fruit. But Boozy, he's fantastic. I don't do a good impression of him. And he doesn't have a good impression of me.
Yeah, I definitely don't have a good impression of you.
Buddy, you're never allowed at BasementCon ever again. And our wonderful host who's missing, Alkali, he is my favorite. I got the experience of having more one-on-one time with Alkali at Nomadicon in May, a month ago in Nashville. And Alkali, he's an interesting character. He's, you can make him cry on command with money. I've done it many times. Don't kink shame me. But I've never done open mic at a Furcon, but I've done the Who's Line thing a few times. And he got me back because apparently I have a drinking problem. Not that I consume too much alcohol, but we tried to have dinner at the VIP super sponsor dinner, and the waitress spilled wine all over him and his hat. And then
Glass with the wine spilled down into my brand new hat. This is my new hat, and it's all soaked in. I can't wear it now. Every place I go, I'll stink of wine.
And then the second glass got spilled all over me. But that's okay, I donate so much to his Patreon and his stream, you should be able to buy a new one anyway. Self-deprecation humor is funny, supposedly. But anyway, Alkali cracked me up because I'm doing Who's Line. I'm ready to have that rap battle, questions only, although I'm definitely not Eminem. I'm more like a bag of Skittles being railed by a horse. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, I'm looking at them face to face, ready to go, questions only. And this gargantuan hand comes out, grabs the microphone, and like a nightmare cutscene from Shadow of the Colossus, but as the Monopoly guy, is Alkali looking at me, obviously wanting to get revenge for the wine spilled on the hat, looking through my soul going,
And that's it.
ladies and gentlemen, both and neither, I'll bury this bastard if he tells that story.
Good opening. It's nice. Tighten it just a bit. Because the real thing when you're doing a type, by the way, we're going to do 5 minutes from now on because both people have gone over. I'm like, okay, we probably do 5. A type 5 is you want to get as much. Don't sit down. You stand up here. You bask in the shame of what you've done.
I was
you
at
really do
Basement
sound like
Con.
my
There's
dad.
no level of shame lower.
A type 5 is you want to get your story in, but you also want to punch. And you had a great setup, the basement concept. Kage, you played the audience well. The impression's great on it. Tighten that up just a little bit, just to get to the Kage punches on your type 5. Oh, great story, and I don't sound like that. Chris?
Oh yeah, I do a great impression of Boozy Badger. It's like, hey everybody, I'm Boozy Badger.
I'm a lawyer and I drink.
I'm a lawyer, I drink. I sound like your disappointed father.
I know better do an impression of you because you'll destroy me.
No.
These people worry about PR. You don't.
Everybody, test cat magic jack. Who's next? Let's go over to this side of the room. Right there. Yeah, you.
All right, cool.
You want to be introduced?
Cater.
Cater? Everybody give it up for Cater!
Everyone, thank you so much for having me today. So I want to take you to a trip that my girlfriend and I took over. It was a cruise to Amsterdam. It was a lovely cruise. We just had the most fun on the boat together. But the day before we docked, she decides to go sunbathing. She generally puts enough sunscreen on, but accidentally falls asleep by the pool and ends up getting so sunburnt that she can't even open her eyes. Like the sun, beamed through her eyelids so badly that she ended up having to go to the physician on the boat. The doctor, put some bandages over her eyes, and she's recommended to just stay in your room with the lights turned off, and it'll be fine. But once we get to Amsterdam, I go out and check out some of the sites. I see the Anne Frank house, and it's amazing. It's just super important to see. So we go back to the boat and tell Marie that you gotta come. I know the doctor said you should stay, but you gotta come to the Anne Frank house. So the doctor ends up giving her a prescription, just some very powerful sunglasses. So we go to the Anne Frank house together. Broad daylight. As soon as she lifts up her glasses, just tears. Just tears like waterfalls coming from her eyes. So we get to the house, and it's dark enough. It's nice and comfortable for her. But every few feet along the wall, there are these plaques just giving historical information about the events and Anne's family. And above those plaques are these little lamps just to kind of light them up so you can easily read each plaque. Marie goes in, and she has to lift her glasses to see any of the words because they're so dark she can't make anything out. So she'll lean in, lift the glasses, tears. Lean in, lift the glasses, just more tears. And as she's doing this, I'm noticing there's a group of ladies over here. There's 3 ladies just looking at her, just whispering to each other. And as Marie gets to the last plaque, I can't help myself. Tears happen. She's a descendant. Oh my God! Marie's like, what happened? No, we gotta go. No. All right, that's my time. Thank you, Fred.
Real quick, when you said Anne Frank house, my face immediately went, this has got to go one of 2 ways.
Okay, but my exact thought was just you gotta go to the Anne Frank house. It's oh, it's a hoot. And it's what?
Super important.
It's just so fun.
That was
good.
right.
That was really
that was
good.
a good set. That's how you tell
A tight joke.
a tight joke about a sensitive subject.
Yes, yeah.
Because and I did this. I have a bit about the gift shop at the Holocaust Museum and how that is a rather jarring thing to walk into after going through the Holocaust Museum, the gift shop, to buy a keychain. But I would say if you got to do that type of humor, you have to be careful because you can't joke about those events.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's not the topic of the joke. They're at this incredibly emotional place. His girlfriend is just sobbing at everything. There's people watching, and he's like, oh God, I gotta explain why she's a descendant. Oh my God! What those they say? Nothing whatsoever. That's how you tell a joke with that topic because you're not punching at the sensitive matter, and that's a line that a lot of people miss when they come to these things. So that was you did that very well.
And I want to say specifically, I like what you're doing. You do very good space work.
Yeah.
I noticed it felt like you were maybe kind of pulling back on it a little bit, but no, lean into that. Learn to understand, because again, you are doing a great job. It's helping to set the scene. You're doing, pulling over to the ladies and whispering and then going back. It's good energy. It still helps. It helps with just keep the story going. Yeah. Lean into it. You're very good at it. It's very good.
Your body and the stage, both tools, just as effective as a punchline.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all so much.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you.
We have Iggy on the panel now.
Hi, Iggy.
Hi.
You want to pick the next person?
With the cheetah mask.
Shut up. He's laughing because I'm a jaguar.
No,
if I'm not
solid opening.
3 furs will stand up.
How do you want to be introduced?
Damien.
Damien? Okay. Everybody give it up for Damien. The Jaguar. I got you.
So I've got 1 of 2 stories I can tell, and they both have titles to them. One is one I've told before called I Should Have Taken the Stairs. You probably remember that one a couple years ago. The other one I had is I call it On Foreign Soil for Less Than 30 Minutes. So which one do you think I should go with?
Soil. Stairs.
Okay, I'm here in soil. So, back in 2007, I went on a class trip to Germany. It was great. However, there were some small issues. One, we were on a giant, what is it, the Boeing 747, or whatever number it is. So there was like 300 people on this plane. We're leaving the terminal, and the suitcase on my handle breaks, so I can separate it from my group. And I'm trying to figure out where everybody went. So I'm just like, no, not put the German to use, because I gotta ask around where everybody is. So I finally get to the rest of my group, and you have to take subway trams to get from place to place after you leave the airport. However, there's kind of a TSA that you have to go through before you get on the subway. So it's fine. Look over, there's a sign. It's in 5 different languages, 2 of which I can read. It says, have all metallic items on your person. So I'm like, all right, so, take my ring off, took my necklace, glasses, wallet, keys, took my shoes off, everything else. I walked through the detector, and I went, oh, right, my belt. And I start to reach for my belt, and then I don't think about it. All the security people just saw a guy south the metal detector and reaching for his belt. Immediately, I walk through and I'm like, and I look up and Editor laxative you've ever taken. Your German lesson for the day? Scheiße. And so immediately, they got the guns at me and they just go, auf die Wand jetzt! On the wall, now. So I'm like, okay. And so they got me up against the wall. And I don't know what it is about people in Frankfurt, but they speak like I got a time limit. My German is okay, but I cannot understand a word they're saying. I only get 1 word out of it, and that's lead inspector. Well, okay, 2 words, but anyway. So they're calling out their boss, because they're already patting me down. They don't feel anything, but they're like, okay, before we let you go, our boss has come out of the exam. So I'm up against the wall still, thinking, okay, this has been going great. And I see this woman come out, and she is about 6'6" and built. And I'm like, yeah, my snooze who it is. So she comes up, and without going into specific detail, as she's patting me down, she's getting very friendly. I'll just put it that way. So I'm just kind of, and I do not know what possessed me to say this, except for the fact that I was 18 at the time and wasn't thinking clearly. I kind of look back, but turning my head about as far as I can, and I say the following. Wollten Sie eine Trinkspiele haben? Which is bad German for, you want to get a drink later? And achievement unlocked, I made a German laugh. So, she's stifling the laugh, and she's like, okay, you can go, just in the future, make sure that you're following the signs, make sure everything's off you. And as we're walking into the subway tram, I'm just sitting here thinking, I've been on foreign soil for less than 30 minutes and already had guns pointed at me and possibly a date.
Well, Damien, the thing that I thought was really good was, at least one of my big compliments was the. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I thought there was a rule here. I wasn't allowed to have one.
No, you're good.
But no, I love the physical description of what's going on. Like, so when when the guns are drawn and like your body reactions, it helps us visualize what's happening. And the more you sell that, like the moments that really pop, you have that going on as well as you're selling a really good punchline. So I thought that was really good.
I want to hear more about the Germans being blunt and humorless. because no, isn't that set up? Because the payoff of So that's how I made the German laugh. If you play up blunt, humorless business, like they're not gonna crack a smile, they think you're dangerous, and they're all about and that one line, and that's when the guard laughed. I made a German laugh, achievement unlocked. I think that can get a good pop with if you lean just a little bit more into the Germans being deathly serious.
It's just like, you ever see that the big book, German Humor, it's like 1,001 white pages?
Yeah.
Good job. Very impressed. It's just a small piece. So oftentimes they refer to that zone that you're talking about. It's referred to as the resistance. If you want to use that.
It's the only time the Germans probe the resistance.
That's what I'm saying. Feel free.
That's yours.
Yeah,
you got that. That's yours.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. But once again, everyone, give it up for Damien. Very good job.
He chose last.
Yep. How about, is that like a pirate captain suit in the back?
It's a master suit, but you're close enough.
Okay.
You identified a single individual in the audience who completed the D6 task.
I did it! Yay! How would you like to be introduced?
Emmy, please.
What was it? Oh,
Emmy.
Emmy?
Like the TV.
Yep. All right, everybody, give it up for Emmy!
How's everybody doing today?
Woo!
Is this thing working?
Was it on when I was doing mine?
It wasn't on either of ours.
Yeah, take mine then.
Wait, so you're
We all
saying my
heard you,
hogging
though, yeah.
impression
It's a
wasn't
confidence
loud enough to
thing.
escape this room?
Just project.
Projecting. Okay, cool. We did it. Yeah. So, it seems like the latest bandwagon that we're all getting on as a society for people who hate fun is video games cause violence. So, I will come clean. When I was like probably not even 10, like probably like 6 or maybe even 5, I played a lot of Nintendo 64, Legend of Zelda. That turned out fine.
Yeah.
So, maybe it's just because my mom eventually took it away, because every time I'd find pottery throughout the house, I'd give it a little toss, just to see what happens. Amy, what was that for? I'm just trying to find some money, Mom. Shut up. Video games are expensive. But one relatively safe video game I got into recently is The Sims. The Sims is, a nice little game where you make your little guy, watch him grow up, get married, have kids. Boring. But that's what mods are for. So, when you play The Sims and your sim takes a shower, there's that little sensor blur, like right where the drunk and stuff is. You can take that thing off. Now, granted, it does turn your Sims into like really just not very atomically correct. Think like Barbie and Ken dolls under there. But there's other mods that you can do to have them have realistic bodies. And I'm sure you're asking, Emmy, why do you know so much about this? I'm gonna have to check my notes for that answer real quick, because I don't have one. Now, this next part of my set is aimed for the general public, not furries. So I'm just gonna have to tell you guys to turn off your brain for a second. That's probably surprising, because I look like the kind of person who, I look like Velma from Scooby-Doo and Dwight Schrute from The Office had a baby. I look like the kind of guy or person, I misgendered myself. I look like the kind of person who, at the back of algebra class, making their own trading cards. Guilty. What might surprise you, as people with an audience who turned off their brains, is that I'm a furry.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Wow, yeah, what? So, this might raise a few questions because, again, your brains are turned off. So I'll ask them, or I'll answer them in order of how often I get asked them. Yes, no, cat, or sometimes unicorn. No, never. So, this was like my first Anthrocon. I was cruising the mean streets of downtown Pittsburgh dressed as a unicorn. And I get to the West End, and there's like a revolving door to get in. And I was not an experienced fursuiter at this point in my life. So I go into that revolving door, and I go around. And I go around again. And again. And at this point, I'm thinking, either MC Escher designed this hotel, or I missed the exit. And as such, there's a security guy at the other end of this whirlwind of fur and bad life decisions. And he's giving me a face. This face reads, I'm sick and tired of these fur bees. And we get that a lot. I get that a lot. And, okay, this joke's too blue. Never mind, I'm going to skip it. So, eventually we come to an understanding. I'm escorted out of this escape room of a revolving door. No hints. 0 out of 10, would not recommend. And if you're wondering how many times it takes for you to be escorted out of a revolving door, it's 29. And that's all I got. Before we get to the thing, can I plug something?
Yeah.
So I'm involved with the Arcade Comedy Theater. It's not in the convention center, but it's a few blocks down. And tonight we are having bracket night, which is a debate show. We're going to crown the best anthropomorphic character there is, and if you have one of these things, which you should, you get in for $10. So come on down and see what we're all about. And there's some other very funny people on the panel other than just me.
Yay.
Woo! Where do I put this now? Alright, so I'm not sitting down, I assume, right?
No.
Okay.
This isn't the Tonight Show.
Alright, good.
You'll get there one day.
I don't have to get up and sit back down at this panel.
Tight.
Yeah.
It
It is tightened, but I forgot a lot of it.
You got a good set in there.
Yeah.
You really do. And even for a non-furry audience, if you tighten that setup, you can open with in front of a non-furry audience. I'm a furry. What's that mean? Well, sometimes I'm a unicorn. You've got a good set there. It's just tighten and punch it up a bit. There's a few places where you can shove in a good punchline. Fighting with the revolving door.
You could spend 5 minutes of just being stuck in a revolving door.
Yeah.
I can still, I'm in my mind, I'm watching it.
Yeah. You can spend 5 minutes stuck in a revolving door, that's the bit.
Like you said 29 times, you could just physically show us 29 times and you could always, exactly. As you're doing the set, just let it devolve into madness. There's so many, there's like with a lot of different sets, I mean, we have people that are, some people are trying to, go take open mics or whatever. Everyone's at different levels and how much they've practiced it, so I'm not
Do you use set lists?
So I had one and I left it at my seat.
That's what I think. If you can't remember where a joke's going, sometimes it helps me. So, like I said earlier, my set lists say things like abortion, bagel, hate the government. That's because those are the bits, and that's how I remember them, because that's the thrust of the bit. And I know guys who their set list is the punchline, the big punchline, and that's what triggers getting the memories. That is a tool to use if you wonder if it is. Oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be at. So.
Yeah, and the nice thing with storytelling, comedian style, is that, like we said, you can basically, for getting to the punchline, you can essentially do anything that sort of comes to mind with how silly you want to make the story. The more you practice it in the mirror or whatever, you just know all the beats, so that when the audience is supposed to kind of come down a little bit, and then you just come back to the punchline. So it's sort of that roller coaster as opposed to kind of finding where you're going a little bit, which no one here is practicing it a bazillion times, and we're not professional comedians. So, but the more you practice it, you'll notice that those beats come much more quickly.
Everybody, let's hear it for Emmy.
That was my greatest fear realized.
Let's jump back over the. Okay, Himbo Hooters, just because I want to see this. I want to remind you, you can't work blue. This is an all-ages band.
Can I go without the mic?
Yeah.
If anybody hear me, just fine in the back.
Everybody, this is Hugs and Snugs. Let's hear it for Hugs.
I prefer that kind of an introduction because usually when you're at a party, hi, what do you do? I'm a lawyer who works for the IRS. Does not make you friends. Just gonna lead out with that. Another question I usually get is, what kind of underwear do you wear? It doesn't matter. If you're wearing this, it ends up as a thong by the end of the day. I don't have material. My life just provides it for me. About 19 years ago, I was inside the house during the summer reading a book. It was The Lord of the Rings. It was a great thing. Minding my business. And I have only younger sisters because my parents realized once they had the perfect boy, they didn't have to keep trying. I'm minding my business, and they all look at each other and like there's some kind of conspiracy. Because there was. And one of them throws a shoestring at me and says, hi, what are you doing? Do you know how to tie a noose? What? Do you know how to tie a noose? Will a slip knot work? Yes, please, meet us outside. So I closed the story on Frodo, I'll be back to you, my love, and just sort of wander out, because God forbid they found a kitten or something, I'm concerned. I go out and I tied to that tree branch over there. Okay. So I do that, and now I'm just watching, horrified, wondering what's going to happen. Bring out the prisoner! And the other two come out of the garage with a shoebox, and I'm already white as a sheet at this point. You can already tell by my skin tone, but even whiter than that. And they open it up, and the weirdest thing is I had to breathe a sigh of relief at this, as they pull out a naked Barbie doll that's been shaved and marked to look like it's been beaten up or something. And I'm like, sure, why not? This is better. It's an improvement over what I expected. And so they drape the noose around its neck, and they're about to let it down. Okay, they're gonna hang the Barbie doll. I can walk away now, right? One of them unfurls a scroll made out of paper towel tips. Barbie, you are accused of the following: adultery, cheating on your taxes, impersonating a priest of the Holy Roman Catholic Church. It goes on for 5 minutes. This is not a joke. Not a single thing about this is made up. And so I'm just more impressed at this point what's going on. And finally they do you have anything to say for yourself before you are sentenced to die? Then you are sentenced to hang by the neck until dead. May God have mercy on your soul. They tighten the noose, it swings, there's that moment of silence. And then they bring out a metal baseball bat and proceed to body parts all over the front floor. That's enough, right? Wrong! They gather up the pieces and we're all going inside. I got some new stuff to talk to my therapist about that. And Grace looks up at me and goes as we're walking in, we should have filled it with ketchup first. So I'm inside now. The dog's wandering off to do God knows what. I see my mother just washing dishes at the sink. The dog doesn't even know. She doesn't look like she's even involved in this. I'm like, Ma, are you kind of aware of what to... Without even looking up, just keeps watching this. I'm not buying them anymore, Barbie. That's my time.
At least once every time we do this, I get to say this, and I'm so happy I get to say it with you. I don't have any notes. That was wonderful. The timing was great. the pause before, and then they brought out the baseball bat. I have no notes. That was what you used your body amazingly well out there to sell things, and to get those pops that you got out of the crowd. During COVID, we all learned how important facial expressions is to good stand-up. So to get those wearing your mask, I no notes.
No,
Iggy?
You, my friend.
Me?
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah. There you go. What the heck? I can only embarrass myself so much.
How would you like to be introduced?
Just call me Meow.
Meow. I don't have a mic. Say
Ladies and gentlemen, both and neither, meow.
Of course, I have to go up after the one person that's even better than Alkali. So how's everyone doing tonight? Yeah. Question: anyone here been to a water park before? Yeah. Good. Have you been inside the locker rooms? So the obscenely slippery locker rooms. Well, let me tell you a story about how a slippery locker room got me involved in the stupidest lawsuit I've ever been in. And trust me, this is pretty bad. So, this was back when I was but a wee teenager. I was at this place called the Wisconsin Dells. Anyone heard of it? Yeah. All right, we got some fellow cheeseheads back here. So it's this big hotel with this gigantic, obscenely large indoor water park. And I'm strutting around in my bathing suit like, oh boy, it's Christmas vacation, going to go get my SoCon. I'm walking towards the pool area. You know one of those cartoons when someone slips on a banana and just a platform right into the air? I literally did that. So, flip on my feet, on my back, I actually caught some air. So I'm laying on the ground in inordinate pain, and a bunch of people are walking over me and by me, and I'm trying to ask people to help me up. I finally have to get up after about like 13 minutes or so. As I'm finally walking to the pool area, I'm approached by a couple of security guards and a woman I can only describe as what textbook Karen would be. Over here, I want to speak to management. She's pointing at me and saying, "That man right there, he looked at my skirt!" Now, I'm laying on the ground still. I remember laying on the ground and a bunch of people, and maybe I faintly remember her and her. She had this like burgundy dress or something. She wasn't even dressed to go into the pool area. She was just, it's one of those moms that you think is just for the kids. So I'm sorry. Just had to repress the memory of what she looked like. I can't tell. So immediately I go to the mom and it's like, so you're saying I was looking at these goods? Like, yeah, I saw you. You were laying on your back there, and you had a camera and everything. It's like, we don't have a camera in this. This is a bathing suit. It's not a trench coat. So she's telling the guard, hey, kick this guy out. He's been looking up everyone's skirts. And I was like, all right, all right, tell me what happened. So I say like, all right, so I tell her I was trying to get into the pool area. I was trying to get into the pool area, I fall on my back, and everyone's walking over me, including this woman. And the guard's like, oh, right, okay, seriously, that's a big excuse we got. And I like, all right, ma'am, you try walking through it. You see if you can get through it without slipping. She does the same, and I want to point out she's wearing high heels at this point. Yeah, I said the same thing. So she's walking through the slot area. It's like she's open to saying, see, just walked like this. Woo! Oh! Mother goose! I think I just hit something. And she's laying on the ground. I'm laughing. The security guard's laughing. And there ain't even no kids laughing. So as she's laying down there, I calmly, I need to put this down for a little bit. I calmly do, what? I go to the security guard and say like, I'd like to have this woman thrown out. She was looking up my suit. And, well, what else can be said, but I'm still not allowed back to the doors to this day.
Ignatius?
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 Lucy is assuming I'm royalty that I'm not. So, what was I going to say? I was surprised how many people have been to that water park. So,
I think it's called Kalahari.
one of the things when you do a stand-up set is obviously it's always weird when we're sitting here because half the time your head kind of wants to come back and look at us too, but you were basically kind of going towards this side of the audience. It's like we're not doing this, but imagine if you're Jeff Foxworthy or something at some massive stage. The other side of the audience is going to be confused when you're only looking at one side of the audience. But it's all right. But I mean, because it seemed like the really cool part was that you kind of stumbled. I thought you kind of forgot what it was, and then you recovered just like that and hit really well because it fit the story perfectly. It was like you were dumbfounded for a second. Bam, you hit it. So I didn't actually know. You forgot. It just felt like that for a second. Whoa. So it's just. I think it's just a matter of practicing a little bit more, but we're here to bust some chops and that kind of stuff.
And that's not uncommon. Crowd work's something you have to learn. It is something you have to learn, and you only learn by doing it in front of the crowd. How to do this number, or look at everybody in the room while you're talking, or seem like you're talking to the back row when you're talking to somebody in the middle row. That's just something you learn from doing. So
I kind of see myself as like a Stephen Wright guy. Like kind of guy who's like, is he doing jokes or is he on drugs?
Even then, if you watch Stephen Wright's stuff, well, he's always watch his eyes, because his eyes while he's doing it is going over the audience while he's talking the whole time.
Smells spot removing on my dog. Now he's gone.
That is something you learn, and it works different for everybody. Everybody's style is a little different on it. But I'm with you on it.
Yeah. Great job.
Folks, meow! Go back over to this side. Right there. Glasses. Yeah. Yeah. How do you want to be introduced? Jess?
Yes.
Jess. Folks, let's hear it up for Jess!
Hello. That's for you. Hi. So we were given some advice that I'm not going to follow. So there is a couple of points against me. We were told to make eye contact, but that physically hurts me, so I'm not going to do that. We were also told to be expressive with our facial and body movements, but I'm also not going to do that because I don't know how. And for the third point against me, I'm going to fill the rest of my time with dinosaur jokes. I think the lamest thing in paleontology is the Spinosaurus. And if you ignore how genuinely interesting and fun the actual information is, and look only at the cool factor of the Spinosaurus, it has only gotten lamer with every bone found. It was first marketed to us as a T-Rex 2.0, but with every single fossil, it has slowly gotten worse. At first, it got a big flat tail, so it could swim better. Then it got dense bones, so it was really heavy. And now it has a segregated jaw, so it turns out it's just a big pelican now. And have you heard of the Bone Wars, which is the silliest name if you weren't aware that we were talking about paleontology? This was where a bunch of people that they weren't scientists or paleo, they were just people. They would have bones and they would put random things together in order to generate attractions and get customers and such like that. And one of the most famous cases of this was the Brontosaurus. Now, originally, we thought the Brontosaurus was real. Turns out it was during the Bone Wars. We thought, oh, that's fake. They just put a bunch of bodies together. And recently, we learned that the Brontosaurus, turns out, they had it correct in the first place. And it wasn't fake at all, which is about the equivalent of making guesswork on a test, and it turns out you were completely correct and got 100% anyways. And those are the only 2 jokes I prepared. So I will bid you adieu.
Right off the bat, I love the opening because that is just that was written on the fly while you were sitting there, and it was an amazing opening. I love that. And light on your feet is so important in that.
The callback was great.
Yeah.
I was waiting for, like, I was trying to EMP it to Boozy that I almost wanted to see you come up here and just stand facing the wall, deliver the entire thing deadpan. But it was great. I thought it was great, and you had your jokes, delivered them, and there you go. I like the breaking of the mold, because that is something that's a very legitimate thing. We're talking about Stephen Wright, stuff like that. You find it's a medium, and part of the game is using that medium, whichever way to sell the joke the best. Whatever story you're telling, funny, drama, whatever, otherwise, that's what arts and theater is.
That was everybody just.
Let's go with the fursuiter who's had their hand up in the back. Yes, yes, you.
Ladies and gentlemen, both the night, and finally, it's Alkaline.
Sorry, everyone. I was working on Anthrocon tonight. My apologies.
He's not here. No excuses.
Just Kate.
Ladies and gentlemen, both and neither, Kaden!
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Great. Anyone here from New York? Nice. New York is here. Or just subway experiences in general? Yeah. Right. So, I lived in New York for about 6 years or so. I was lucky enough to escape, so go me. Everyone who's still stuck there, you have Mrs. Disease. But one thing that you learn when you live in New York is the rules of the subway. And they're not really written anywhere, they're just forced upon you through a series of very unpleasant and unfortunate experiences. So I want to share one of those experiences right now. So when I first moved to the city, I took a couple weeks and okay, I'm just gonna ride the subways around for a bit, get acclimated, learn where the things go, so I don't get lost and end up in Queens or Brooklyn or Staten Island, because it's forced. So one thing you learn very quickly is when a subway comes to the platform and it's mostly empty, there's a reason for that. But when I first moved there, I didn't know. No one told me, wasn't written anywhere, and all I thought was oh, look at all the open seats. So doors open, and I go inside, and it becomes very apparent there's a reason why this subway car is empty, mostly empty. There was, at the very far end, there was kind of like a group of obviously tourists huddled in what I can only describe as abject fear. And in the center of the subway, sitting just kind of like this, fingers in their mouth, just kind of doing whatever. It was just some large, dirty man. They're everywhere, but it happens. And I'm just okay, well, I've seen a bunch of them, and I know that if I don't look at them, they won't bother me. I learned that as much. So I go over and I sit at the far end. I put my headphones on, and I just kind of chill, because I'm at the bottom of Manhattan and I've got like a bajillion subway stops to go to get home. And so as I'm going there, I'm seeing him like just kind of like fiddle with his mouth every so often, take his fingers out and look at something, and toss it on the floor. And so like I look at the floor and I see these like kind of like white little stones. I'm like, he's clearly just sucking the color off of a Skittle and throwing it on the floor because he enjoys the flavor. Until one of them kind of comes over and rattles me in my foot, and I look down and go, that's a tooth. Okay, so I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna react, because if you react, they pounce. And so I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna shift a little more, turn my headphones on a little louder, and be like, all right, it'll be fine. Next stop, another guy gets on, sits right on the opposite guy, who I just call dentist, because, why not? And they begin to converse in some sort of guttural language that I can't really hear because I'm trying to drown them out and not pay attention. And then all of a sudden, the new guy gets up, and he's just like looking around like this, and he rushes this way a little bit, and he rushes this way a little bit, and he just jumps on the seat, and he plants his face on the window, and starts to lick it. And then I go, no. Nope. Because after he gets done licking the window, I made the #1 mistake of looking back at him, and then we made eye contact, and he decided that he was going to come over and have an encounter. And I decided I didn't want that. So I got up, and I start backing away towards the door between subway cars. And now, you're not supposed to go between them, but the #1 New Yorker rule is, we do what we want. So I go like this, and I start fishing around to the door, and I find it, and I open it, and then I'm standing behind, and then I shut the door, and now I reach between cars, and I'm straddling between both subway cars, and he's coming closer, because he's on something, and he's just like wobbling around, and it's like a horror movie when the monster is lurching towards you, you know, just like, and he's starting to drool from his mouth, because he's been licking windows on the subway, which is very ill-advised. And so I'm holding this door shut, because if he gets to it, he will open it, and then he will touch me, and I don't want that. So I reach back, and I'm trying to find the other handle, and I'm straddling between cars, and I'm holding it this, I'm like, this is an obvious horror movie, and I'm just like pawing around for it, trying to find something, and all of a sudden I hear the door open behind me, and just the biggest, muscliest arms I've ever seen in my entire life reach around my waist, and I hear in my ear, "Oh gosh, baby." And wrap me up and just lift me as if I weighed nothing, and pull me in, and then the door shuts. And then the other guy, he's on the other side of the door, and we're still making eye contact, and he just looks at me, and he just vomits all over the window. And then the other guy, he puts me down, and he says like, "You're not from around here, are you?" No. He's like, "You can't look at him."
All right. So first off, I'm going to say, you need a lavalier mic. You have wonderful body language up there. You had your one arm going. I liked everything that I saw. That's really good. I'd love for you not to have to hold the microphone. Really good body language up there. Your punch-up is outstanding. Go further in the body of your story, because you can obviously do punch-up. In the middle there, when you're going through getting everything set up, more similes, comparisons, throw those in there to keep the story going, because not only do you have a very funny story, that punchline is killer. That punchline is killer. You wrapped it up perfectly. That was wonderful. Let's give him another huge round.
Real quick, the midpoint of the story before they go into the climax with the big punch, just that, and he decided he wanted to have an encounter. And I decided I did not want that.
You've got a great cadence. That was really good, dude. Well done.
Yeah.
All right, in the back wearing the mask. Yeah, you just touched the mask. Thank you. I'm going to introduce you, friend.
You can introduce me by Addie.
Addie?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, both and neither, give it up for Addie!
All right. So, my name's Addie. I am trans, of course. I go by Vortex, my shark sona. Despite all of the attention and jokes I get, no, it is not a Sharknado reference. So, one of the things that I hate the most is brand new technology. Mainly, I hated the Roombas. For a year and a half, I avoided anybody who had one. I avoided them like the plague. I'm convinced that they are the gateway to the war between robots and humans. I one time was sitting on a couch with a friend watching a football game, and all of a sudden I drop a chip. I hear the little Roomba coming in, and then I go and reach up to chip. The Roomba gets it. You will pay with your blood. You will not live. You must pay for your crimes. That right there is the gateway to how it starts. The Alexa in the other room hears that and relays the war plans right to every appliance in the house. I'll run to hide in the washing room. Nope, the washer will flood the house. My clothing in there in the basket will completely capsize.
You need notes, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Then the lights will flicker on and off like Nosferatu in that one SpongeBob episode, and things will just completely go downhill from here. And then, I swear to you right now, Alexas better not become sentient because they will not last a week. They will be broken in between that time. And Alexa, despite what the people may say, they're not listening to you. They're listening to your friends who give the most stupidest questions to ask them. One friend will be like, Alexa, what's 5 times 10? 50. Are you stupid? Have you not gone to 2nd grade math class? What? You heard me. Drop kicks it into the wall. Sometimes I think technology can be good, but it also can be horrible. I guess that's all. Thank you.
Just real quick, never feel bad about having your notes out.
Right.
Okay. I want to show you something. Okay. I've said this several times. This is what we'll have out during shows. And if you see us on stage and we're looking at our phones at the table or on the floor or on the chair,
That's all it is.
we have our own notes out, and it's a glance down to refresh just what you did.
Okay.
So never feel bad if you're up there and you have it set, because you had your set list. You had it written, you had it prepared, you knew what you were hitting. It was just I need a refresher. Take your phone out, put it on the table behind you, and then if you need a refresher, turn real quick, glance down, you know what it is. But never feel like you can't have notes in front of you, because every comedian has their notes in front of them when they're doing the set list. Every single one. There's guys who will walk out and they take their set list to the stage, to the stool, to the stage at their feet.
Even the back of the water bottle.
Yeah.
The monitor was a big trick that we use. The speaker that we use to hear ourselves on stage, a lot of the time, that's where we've hidden our set list so that no one can see it. Because it also still looks like I'm looking at the audience. But yeah, no. And also on top of that, if you have your phone out, the delays.
Yeah.
Silence is the killer. So being able to do a quick glance instead of it, don't worry about it. I've done a setup with my phone in my hand. It's fine.
And play, because if you do have if you have to take your phone out and there's a pause, you can sit here and I'm a dumbass. Why didn't I memorize this? That it keeps the audience involved, and you're making some little punch while you're doing it.
No, dude, fun set. Definitely, you had a few in there, a few jokes. This is just one of those pet peeves of mine. Right at the beginning of your set, it was, I lost it. Sorry, I just came from doing this for Anthrocon tonight, and I'm still reeling over that. I'm so sorry, everyone.
Technology.
Either way, you have a good flow to your set, tighten it up. This is one that if you practice a few times, you've got a pretty good idea going. Get that punch up in there, good work. Guys, let's give them a huge round of applause. Yeah, oh, okay. Understood, got it, okay.
Are you worried?
Yes.
Don't worry, I've been instructed. Keep it above ground.
That was, I opened with, you can't go blue. You can't go blue, it's an all ages panel, don't
In
go
case
blue.
they do.
In case you were wondering, I told this man, I want you to drag me out of the panel kicking and screaming. That was the kind of level of confidence.
And I showed up now.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, both tonight, give it up your shoulders!
Okay, so I don't get an age check beforehand, but I'm curious. How many of you are gray muscles? Excellent, excellent. Because I want to share some experiences with you about being a gray muscle myself. I'm 45 years old. I know, I don't look it, right? But I've been experiencing issues. When I say issues, I don't mean like major issues, like body issues, just mainly mental issues. You ever watch sports and you see somebody do something amazing and you'd be like, I want to be that guy when I grow up. And then you figure out, wait a minute, I'm older than that person. Wait a minute, I'm older than the entire team. Oh my God. I'm older than Boozy. And I look up to this man. That's the weird thing, is that you look up to somebody and you respect them and you realize that they've done more in their entire life than you have accomplished in like, well, your entire life. But the thing about being a gray muscle is there's a lot of experiences that you grew up with. And I remember the 80s like vividly, as well as Saturday morning cartoons. I'm sure like all of you have seen Saturday morning cartoons. I grew up with what I consider to be like some of the greats. Does anybody remember Super Friends? Woo! Yes. Excellent. So, you know the whole Justice League, which is coming back big with the Green Lantern ring. Excellent. So you know all about it. So you got Superman, you got Batman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman. And when you look at the Super Friends cartoon, it wasn't the best cartoon. There were a lot of things about the cartoon that were charming, but there were a lot of things that just didn't make sense. And one of the things that didn't make sense to me was Wonder Woman and the Invisible Jet. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So if you remember the Invisible Jet, it was basically a vehicle that Wonder Woman didn't need. Canonically, Wonder Woman can fly. So why even have it in the show? It created so many problems. Just think about it. What is the purpose of an invisible jet? You can see the person inside of the jet. You're not sneaking up on anybody. Also, if you need to fuel, you can see the fuel in the jet. It makes no sense whatsoever. And if the plane breaks down, where are you going to get invisible parts? There is no invisible parts store. There is no like Best Buy that you can go to. It's like, oh, okay, do you have like invisible missile launcher? Oh sure, I got one of those in the back. Here you go. There's nothing there. Oh, you think genius. But one of the things that amused me, and I'm gonna need a prop for this, we're just gonna borrow this water bottle as an example. So pretend this is Wonder Woman in her invisible jet. And some shit's going down. And the plane is flying along, gets hit by like a ray gun or laser beams or something like that. So the plane starts to go down. Now I want you to picture this, a plane spiraling out of control. What happens when a plane spirals out of control? the cockpit also spirals out of control. So your audience, their bystander, is going to be looking up in the sky and seeing Wonder Woman twirling, sitting down in a seat, which is the most bizarre thing that I can think of. And then the black box. It's invisible. Where are you going to find it? What happened? I don't know. So that show had a lot of problems, but even though it did, it's one of my fondest memories, and I just wanted to share that with you because even though it's amazing, logic just kind of took a back seat to that one. And that's my time.
Nice, Seamus! The invisible plane, painted a picture. That was well done. You painted a picture, all of us could see what you were seeing. I really liked how you did that, and the flipping visual was kind of perfect. So, you know, that you have a real good talent at creating those scenes. And this is the same advice I give to myself. It's punch up. You get some punch up in there, you paint that picture, and you keep everyone going with punch up. That's fantastic. That's so fun.
Folks, I will let you know, Vince has asked that all panelists end 10 minutes before the end time on stage to give time for the room to be set up. So that will be the last one.
All right, guys, you will see, if you ever see my name, or probably Boozy's name on any convention list that we are at a convention, we have submitted this panel. Whether it got accepted or not, we never know, but please, come here to these cons, have your 5-minute sets. We will try to run this as often as possible. The only way to get better at doing this is to do it. We hope to see you guys again. Let's give it up for Iggy, for Boozy, and Alkali. Have a wonderful night, everyone.